Welcome to another episode of Truish Hoops Podcast. I'd like to welcome back James Boisits, and we're going to be predicting how each conference will shake out for the 2024-2025 NBA season. I'm going to start with the Eastern Conference because that's where both of our allegiances lie, as you can see. Uh, James will be looking forward to the Nets tanking, I guess, and
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to the Knicks trying to contend. Uh, so I have my seedings. We'll actually start at the bottom because obviously you're a Nets fan. Teams that are going to miss the playoffs. Um, the Wizards, the Nets, the Pistons, the Hornets, the Bulls. Those are the teams I have missing the playoffs. I didn't even bother ranking them honestly because I don't know how bad each team really is going to be. Just for so you know, I have the Nets 14th
I have the Nets 14th too.
because the
Look at
Wizards
that.
are the Wizards are a joke. I
Let
don't, I,
let's okay, I have my thoughts. This is actually
Mhm.
like pretty difficult because one really bad team is making the play in the
Yeah,
East.
you're right.
One really bad team. And just can you say your teams again that you have?
Missing the playoffs. I have the Bulls, the Hornets, the Pistons, the Nets, and the Wizards.
Okay. All right. So, I have the Raptors missing the playoffs,
Okay.
and I'm going to give you my reasons why. So, we align on every team
So you have
except
you have the
I
Pistons
have,
making
that's
the
my hot
play-in.
take. I have the Pistons making the play-in.
Okay.
This doesn't mean I think the Pistons are going to be good.
Okay.
I just have the Pistons making the play-in. That's my hot take. I've thought a lot about this. And would you like to hear my thoughts first, or do you want to give your
Oh yeah,
reason?
I want to hear that because
Okay.
that's
Okay.
surprising to me.
Every team, basically in the Eastern Conference, is going to want to be in on the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, except the Detroit Pistons. And I'm going to give my reasons. They owe it to their fans to be competent this year.
Hmm.
They owe it to their fans. Cade Cunningham does not want to lose again. They hired a new coach and JB Bickerstaff. They've added more talent, more shooting on the team that makes sense. They just added Tobias Harris, so you know he's going to be good because he's not playing for Philadelphia anymore. And my whole thing is their intention is to not be one of the worst teams in the league this year and to improve. And I don't think that's going to be the mentality of the other teams, even Toronto, because I saw Masai Ujiri and Sean Marks at that Rutgers St. John's game watching Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. So I think while Toronto has a lot of talent on the team, it's an expensive team that doesn't also really make any sense. And I think Cade Cunningham's ceiling is actually better than Scotty Barnes's. And I think this is Cade's fourth year in the league. It's usually when we see guys like him pop. He's got more talent. He's got a new coach that's going to instill more discipline, more of an intention of winning. Bickerstaff has a history of taking teams out of the mud, like Cleveland. Remember that? Like they showed signs with like that Colin Sexton year and Garland, and they like beat the big three Nets in like 2021. It was like, oh, look at
Yeah, yeah,
Cleveland.
yeah. I do
And
remember
then the
that.
next year, they had a really good season. So I'm anticipating that something similar. I don't think the Pistons want to be sorry this year because we've seen them be sorry, and their excuse to the fan base is, well, we're trying to get the number one pick. We're trying, and they've gotten burned so many times. So I actually think they're going to try and be better this year. And remember, they don't really have a lot of competition for that 10th spot. And I don't even think they have to play great basketball to be a playing team this year, a 10th seed. They got to be better than the Chicago Bulls, the Charlotte Hornets, and the Brooklyn Nets and all these teams that aren't good. And Toronto. Toronto wasn't good last year. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I like some of the players on their team, Masai Ujiri, all that, whatever. But I that's my risk. Okay. That's my team making a jump
Mm,
to playing. The
yeah.
Detroit Pistons are making the play in this year.
I think they could have the intention of not losing, but still with that roster and still a lot of growth needed for some of the young players like Duran and Ivy and Thompson.
Mhm.
I just don't know how good they're going to be. I think if Cade is healthy, they'll definitely be more competitive because I think that was definitely part of the reason they were still so bad. These
Mhm.
past 2 seasons, he's kind of missed some time. And I do agree with you. I think he's a really good player. Big 6'6" guard, has a lot of skills, and he does not want to be losing anymore. He said that before. So, but Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris, I'm not sure how much they really elevate that team. And
No, they're not good. They're not good.
the-
But they're the best of the worst. Strictly because of their intentions.
Hmm.
Because I don't think Toronto wants to be good. Or maybe Toronto just wants to be like Miami
I
and be
so
mediocre.
so like the reason I have him in, I just think they're gonna have a full season with Manuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. I
Hmm.
liked what I saw from Grady Dick in the preseason. Scotty
Hmm.
Barnes, I think, is a really good player, and I just think maybe this collection of talent they bring this team up. They do have a question of who their bigs are because they really don't have like a conventional like 7 footer, anyone like that. And with the Pistons, they're still going to be struggling defensively. So it is really a crapshoot of which one of these five or six
Exactly. We're
worst
we're
teams you're going to
we
choose
we don't want to spend too much time on the
for
10th
sure.
seed in the Eastern Conference.
And just for the Bulls, the only reason I don't have him in is because I anticipate that they will try to move off Zach LaVine. And they're gonna bite the bullet, whatever the deal is, they're just gonna take it because there's just no reason to hold on to him and the rest of the guys on this roster. So you mentioned the Hawks. I do have the Hawks making the plan. Because I think Trey Young, I think back being the sole playmaker, I think we're gonna see him back to an old form. Kind of before the DeJounte Murray, where he was a really good player, 25 and 12 a game. Otherwise, unless they decide to offload some of the veterans they have on their team, like Capella and DeAndre Hunter, I think they'll still be a competent team. They'll be good offensively. They're going to struggle defensively, just like they have been. But in the Eastern Conference, they should still get in there.
So you have the Hawks 9.
Yeah, Hawks 9.
I have Hawks 9 too. There's potential for a better Hawks season. Because I'm like you, the Murray thing made no sense. Now this roster actually does make more sense. There's a lot more bigger wings on this team. Um, we'll see how the number one pick plays. I still can't like really pronounce his name.
Zach
Um,
Risachet, I think.
yeah, I can't, prove to me why I should be able to pronounce the name. Okay. Um, but um, there's like I said, there's potential, but I need to see it. And
Mhm.
we're gonna get to the Pelicans in the West, and I have very similar thoughts on them. There's potential for a really good Hawks season, but it's up to Trae Young. And you gotta I was for trading DeJounte because honestly, DeJounte at this point, we'll get to my thoughts on him later on, but it was clear it was hurting Atlanta. And now Atlanta has more size, shooting. It should be better defensively. Up to Trae Young.
Basically, yeah. They were like a
And Quinn
500.
Snyder,
Yeah. They were
but
like
it's
they whenever one of them played and the other didn't, they were like a 500 team. And then when they both played, they lost more than they
yep.
won. So
Mhm.
it made sense to eventually move off of that. So I can feel that we're probably gonna have some differences here because now is when it gets tough with which teams
Yeah.
you're really taking, especially in the middle.
Mhm.
We're gonna move back up to the top because that's probably where we agree.
Okay.
I have the Celtics first, and I have the Knicks second.
I do
Um,
too.
Celtics, I think they're going to be not as dominant as they were exactly last season, but I think they're still going to be a really great team. Uh, Oddly, a championship team who's coming into the season with like a chip on their shoulder because everyone has been so dismissive of their run to the title because of how kind of not lucky, but how easy it kind of was because of the injuries that they had to play against. But Tatum, his jumper looks a lot better than it did last season. That was really a point of contention of how bad his jumper was, especially in the finals. If that is better, and this team, as dominant as they were last season, if they're mostly healthy, I think they're going to be really good again. And I have the Knicks second, obviously. I actually thought about putting them first, but a few days ago we got the injury news of Precious Achua is now going to be out for the first few weeks. They're incorporating the new pieces, and I know you want to talk about this, but obviously a big storyline has been Michael Bridges' a jump shot.
Mikal Bridges. A lot is riding on this guy. I think a lot of people thought Towns was going to be the dude that was going to be criticized all the time. Still think that's possible. If Mikal Bridges plays the way that he has played in this preseason, which a lot of people are like, oh, it's just preseason, it's just preseason. To me, the flaws that you're seeing in this preseason could very well carry over into the regular season. And I think what a lot of Nick fans, listen, I, my thoughts of the trade are out there. I believe the Knicks overpaid for a player that was not worth it for the direction that they were in. They traded five first round picks for a guy to build a Villanova team that never really existed because Dante DiVincenzo was gone. And considering DiVincenzo now has beef with Jalen Brunson's dad, it looks like those guys aren't going to be talking for a while, or at least a little bit. And Mikal Bridges now, Dante DiVincenzo was a sniper. Now you got Mikal Bridges with a jumper that, listen, I'm going to be fair. His jumper does look different. This isn't like, that's not the jumper necessarily that was with the Nets. So now you got to take his play with the Nets last year, which was very concerning. And now you got to add a broken jumper to it. So he's got to play defense, which, by the way, I remember I know it's preseason, but I was watching a little bit of that game, and I think like the first defensive possession for the Knicks, it was a switch play with LaMelo and Bridges, and LaMelo just blew by Bridges and scored. And I was like, that was the defense I saw Mikal Bridges play a lot last year. So I understand the numbers are there, the durability is there. He's going to be playing shooting guard for this team, and he kind of can't shoot right now. And I think that's really concerning. And however, I don't trust any other team in the East more than I trust Jalen Brunson in the Knicks. Jalen Brunson has earned that. Tom Thibodeau has earned that. But the questions are there. And I just want to brace Knick fans. This year may not be as great as you were expecting. But the 2 seed, I'm giving it to the Knicks because I believe in Jalen Brunson to carry them to that spot.
I am not worried.
Okay.
Now, Bridges shot 2 of 19 from three in the preseason. That's really bad. And he was 0 of 10 in the last game. And he said that he has been
First the
trying to.
Wizards.
It was the Wizards, yeah. He said he's been trying to fix his jump shot since his days in Phoenix. And I don't know what it is. He has like he's releasing it higher than he like did before. So there's no hitch in it. It's just him adjusting, I think, to maybe hopefully improve jump shot, just a different jump shot. So I do think eventually it will improve. And defensively, I have the same concerns with Cat. And now that we've lost Precious, we're really sitting in the front court. If Cat has his foul trouble and if he's not a deterrence at the rim, it's going to be a struggle defensively. But I think Bridges together with OG Hart, who's kind of got to find his way in the starting lineup. He's voiced some concerns about kind of his role on this team now. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he moves to the bench and we start Deuce McBride, just to kind of give him more to do when he comes off the bench because now we're going to be relying upon him more to be a rebounder and to kind of play that 4 position rather than playing the 2 in the starting lineup, or whatever position really he's playing. But I'm not. I think this team's going to be really good. I don't think they'll be as good as the Celtics, but I do think they'll be better than they were last year. I think this is a 54, 55 win team. Um, but there's going to be obviously points in the season where people are panicking. We start the season kind of tough. Our first 4 games are against all Eastern Conference playoff teams. If we start 2-2, people are going to ring the alarms if Bridges struggles. But I think over the course of the season, they're going to find their way once they get more chemistry with each other, and I think they're going to be a really good team.
You're fine. I mean, you're seeing it. Josh Hart doesn't really know what his role is on this team. His role is to be the 6-man glue guy because Dante DiVincenzo's gone. He's got to be that dude. And he's got to be, whenever they call his number, he's going to be ready to step up. And he's got to be okay with not starting because the best idea of this Knicks team is with him not in the starting lineup.
Yeah. So if we look at the rest of this conference, you said you were hot on the Pacers. Do you have the Pacers third?
No.
Okay. I was just making sure. I have the Bucks third. Do
Okay.
you as well?
No, I have the Sixers.
Okay.
I'm way off on the Sixers, though. But I
But you
just
have
think
him third?
I have them third. First of all, I don't trust any other really team in the East.
Mm.
I'm talking about who's going to be there in the regular season. the Sixers are going to win a ton of regular season games. Like I think it's safe to say that. Even if an Embiid injury happens, Paul George injury happens, like Maxi's good enough to do some things. They added a lot of depth pieces. The 76ers, great coach too, Nick Nurse. 76ers are going to win a lot of regular season games, which is why I have them third. I also like the idea of Maxi, um, Embiid and Paul George makes more sense to me offensively and defensively than the Bucks with their old aging veteran players, in my opinion. Um, I have the Bucks four, by the way. Um,
Mm.
so Philly is a great regular season team. They honestly may finish above the Knicks in the regular season, just if they're healthy. I cannot trust Joel Embiid again in the playoffs. And the only thing that I like, if you're in a really dark room and there's like a tiny little light in the corner and you can't see a thing, but that little tiny light, that's Tyrese Maxey. He's the guy that could change things. It's not going to be Paul George. So Tyrese Maxey is that glimmer of hope for Philadelphia fans to get to the promised land because I'm so sick of the foul baiting by Joel Embiid, who's foul baiting in the Olympics, for God's sakes. And
Yeah.
now he's not going to play back to backs. I don't think Joel Embiid. Bill Simmons has said this before, and I completely agree with him. I don't think he gets it yet, and he needs to prove it to me because he should have beaten. If he's the player that we all say he is, I don't care if he's hurt. He's hurt every regular. He's hurt all the time in the playoffs. Not every regular season, all the time in the playoffs. They should have beat the Knicks last year if he was the player we say he is. Because Maxi was terrific in that series. And if you're that guy, you got to get it done. Okay.
Mhm.
And I think he's got to prove it to us again because he's older now, why he's that guy. So I have Philly third for regular season. I think they're going to have a lot of talent. They did a really good job this summer. I'm off. As being
Yeah.
championship contenders, I'm off.
Yeah, I don't buy them as like real contenders because of most of the things you just said. I have the Sixers fifth. Um, but just for context, a lot of these teams finish like one or two games off. So it is really just going to be like a one or two, 3 game difference. But I put the Sixers fifth because I just don't believe in this roster as being real and being competitive in terms of with the Knicks and the Celtics. Uh, no Embiid back to backs, which is, I mean, I don't understand why we're still of the mindset you can do this in the regular season and it work in the postseason. Uh, Everyone points to like the Raptors doing this with Kawhi, and it worked that one year, and they ended up winning the title. But the Clippers tried it for years; it did not work. And B not playing back to backs means he's going to be consistently out for the rest for the in the regular season. Paul George, you have concerns. He's already hurt with a hyperextended knee. We'll see if he's ready for their game on Wednesday. And then I don't like the bench. I mean, you're relying on Kyle Lowry. I saw a report that Eric Gordon might start first game of the season. There's no way you're starting Eric Gordon in 2024 of a team that's trying to win a title. Um, but like you mentioned, I think the X factor is Tyrese Maxey. If he's incredible, then they're still going to be able to win regular season games and they'll be fine coasting this way. I'm not sure if they'll be like the third or second seed, but there'll be a good team. And if they can get Embiid healthy, they have a shot. But I think Embiid, until he shows that he can be the player he is in the regular season in the playoffs and be healthy and consistent, you know, I don't see this team ever winning a title. Um, I have the Pacers fourth because I really like this roster. I really like the talent. Halliburton fully healthy, hopefully for the whole season. Full season of
Mhm.
Pascal Siakam. Benedict Mathurin, they also get him back. People kind of forget that he went out halfway through the season last year. Um, and I find interesting the James Wiseman experiment because I think he has the skills to be a decent NBA player, but just hasn't had really the opportunity or the situation that kind of catered to him. I saw some stuff I liked from him in the preseason. It's just preseason. But I think he's going to get some playing time, especially because Miles Turner defensively is going to be getting killed by a lot of guys. So they throw in Wiseman in there and give him a different look.
Never been a Wiseman guy. Off on James Wiseman. Um, very off on James Wiseman. Okay. So you have the Pacers four.
Yeah.
Um, I have the Pacers six. basically the same spot as last year.
Hmm.
For, I guess, like regular season purposes, like honestly, I probably would have the Pacers higher for thinking like contenders because I honestly trust them more as a contender than Cleveland, but I think Cleveland is more built for the regular season. So if we're just talking seedings, I also probably trust the Pacers in a playoff game. Like, I don't mean trust them, but if it's Pacers Bucks again, like that's not an easy series. Um,
No.
and I actually do want to get to the Bucks after the Pacers thing because I didn't spend enough time on the Bucks. I don't think we did. So just to talk about the Pacers. Halliburton is healthy, looks healthy. Um, because he was good in the Olympics, right? So he didn't get a lot of time in the Olympics, but he was good in the Olympics, and I think I needed to see that because Halliburton,
Hmm.
it seemed like a lot last year, was not healthy. Um, Full year with Siakam. They seem to really have a different element to their team with Pascal Siakam, and it looked like it didn't work tremendously at first because I think a mix of Halliburton being injured. A lot of these guys, Nemhart, like these dudes showed they can make shots in the playoffs. These guys are an offensive juggernaut. The defense has to be better though.
Hmm.
But I think as a threat, they will be there. And I expect a lot of the younger guys to get better and Siakam to be very similar. I mean, we've seen Pascal Siakam be bad in the playoffs, but we've also seen him be really good. I think with a lot of the spacing in Indiana. He could really thrive in that. And, let's not forget, they really challenged the Celtics in some of those games. Like, they honestly just blew certain games, and that could be a lack of playoff
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
They won a game seven at the Garden. I think there's value in that. I really do. Even though the Knicks were banged up, I think there's value in coming back in that series, especially that Jalen Brunson did play in it. So the Pacers showed me a lot last year and they did nothing to make them think they're gonna be worse. It could be a team like Atlanta where it was just a team that everything went right for them, But I don't know. I didn't really see that because you know, I like their style of play and it apparently keeps them in games, and I think it showed me something there. Let's talk about the Bucks. They're old. They're kind of disheveled. Chris Middleton is out.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Um, but you know what? Giannis is still great. I think Doc Rivers is an excellent coach in the regular season.
Hmm.
And it's the hardest thing ever to take over a team mid-season when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo and all the Damian Lillard. It's the hardest thing in the world.
It's so difficult.
This team last year, like a lot of things went wrong. And yeah, they're a year older. They didn't necessarily get more athletic, you know. Brook Lopez is old now. I love Brook Lopez, but he's old. I expect Dame to be better. I expect Giannis to be great. And I think in the playoffs, um, you still have to take those two seriously. I think if they're healthy in the first round, they probably beat the Pacers still because the Pacers they won 6 games. All that. I still think they're capable of. I mean, I don't think they're going to win a championship. Like I think like contender wise, which is what they're trying to be. Yeah, tons of flaws. But if you're going to be a top four team in the East, I think I'm confident enough they can get there. So I have them
Hmm.
fourth.
Yeah. Uh, just to close out the Eastern Conference because I do want to get to the West. Um, 6, 7, 8. I have Cavs sixth, Magic seventh, and I have the Heat eighth. Cavs are kind of the same. They brought bringing back all these guys. They'll be healthy, hopefully. Mobley, I do expect will take a little bit of a leap. Um, but I think just they're not as good as these other teams, just flatly. And
I,
then,
I I don't really understand what Cleveland's doing. The flaws of the team are the same as last year.
mhm.
They are a collection of talent that doesn't fit well together. Garland and listen, I guess they solved the Mitchell thing, I
Yeah, they
guess,
got him
to the
for
time being,
3 years, right?
which I still can't believe. Mitchell Garland together doesn't make sense. Um, Probably makes a little bit more sense than Allen and Mobley, but
Hmm.
that doesn't make sense either. We saw them play better last year when Allen was in the lineup and then Mitchell was in the lineup and Mobley and Garland were out. And then it was Mobley and Garland. We saw them have flashes there. Like, that's what this team is. You know, Kenny Atkinson, love the guy. Glad he's a head coach in the NBA again. He's not fixing that, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It's a flawed roster. I guess give us some stuff for Cam Johnson. That'd be nice. You can take him off our team. I don't really like him anymore. Makes more sense in Cleveland. Um, Magic. You had them. So you had the Cavs 6. You said
Yeah, I have the Magic seventh.
I have the Magic 7 too. Case of like they're gonna be better than last year, I think, but just the not better than these other teams.
Yeah,
They can't score, man. They can't score. And I like KCP. I think the argument for them to be better is Paulo just takes another leap, which he's certainly capable of
yeah,
doing.
that's what I
Franz
wrote.
Wagner, Franz Wagner has, there's worries there. They still don't have a point guard, so they can't score, and that's my issue with them. Miami, I think it's possible the Heat have a better regular season because I think Jimmy Butler's pissed, wants to need another contract.
That's true.
I can't trust it. The roster just isn't that good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you there.
And Eric Spoelstra. Jimmy Butler, healthy season. Eric Spoelstra. That's the design for the Heat being consistent in the regular season, taking the regular season seriously. Because the last 2 years, I don't think they took the regular season seriously. Now I think they will. That's the case for them having a better year. And if that's the case, I mean, they could. They could finish higher.
Hmm.
I don't see them finishing lower than 8. I think that
No,
that would be
not
pretty
at all.
shocking. So we're talking about kind of the worst possible case scenario for the Heat this season because I think that's where we think they're at, but they could finish higher.
Yeah, for sure. You never know. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can also follow Truish Hoops on TikTok. You can follow me at OZP Dan on Twitter. Thanks for watching the video. See you guys next time.